Mark Zuckerberg admits that the U.S. federal government pressured Facebook to censor their users, and he regrets caving to the pressure. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Mark Zuckerberg admitting that the federal government, namely the Biden-Harris administration, pressured Facebook to censor regular everyday people on the platform. And two of the biggest things that he mentioned was COVID-19 and also the Hunter Biden laptop. Now, I think they were directly pressured to outright censor certain things when it comes to C-19. And I got a personal story before we get to the video and the article and the letter and everything else. Before we get to that, this impacted me directly. In 2020, I wrote an article on my website, anthonyblogan.com. It's still right there if you want to see it. I wrote an article and it went viral. It went so viral that the host that has my website, my web host, they called me on the phone and were like, hey man, your article was cool and everything, but it crashed our entire shared server. So we got to get you on a different kind of plan. And look, they had me on the Zoom call with the vice president of the company. It was crazy. Facebook saw this and were like, oh, no. You're talking about hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin and alternative methods. Oh, no. So they put this permanent kind of, I don't know what it is on my account, but I've not been monetized on Facebook since then. It's been years. I've not had any kind of violations, but they still don't let me do anything. And I got viral videos over there. Like that's at least 5 figures of income that's not even available because the federales got involved and made Facebook censor people like me. And I know my story is just one of thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands all over the world, not just the USA, because Facebook is vital to the economies of many nations. But I'm going way too far down the rabbit hole. First things first, let's get to this video here from ABC, and they're gonna talk about this a little bit. After we get done with that, we're gonna look at the letter that Zuckerberg sent to the federales, talking about how they were pressuring him and a few more things. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
We do turn now to a story breaking overnight. Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg claims he was pressured by the White House to censor content related to COVID-19 during the pandemic. Aaron Katursky joins us now with details. Aaron, good morning.
Good morning to you, Whit. For years, critics have taken aim at Facebook for silencing views that challenge the general consensus in the medical community, especially about the origin of COVID-19. Now, Facebook's founder surprisingly says they're right. This morning, Meta chief Mark Zuckerberg admitting he bowed to pressure from the Biden administration to censor content. The Facebook founder issuing a letter to the House Judiciary Committee that said senior administration officials pushed the social media platform to censor posts about COVID-19 and expressed a lot of frustration when the company resisted. Zuckerberg saying, I believe the government pressure was wrong, and I regret that we were not more outspoken about it. Adding, I feel strongly that we should not compromise our content standards due to pressure from any administration in either direction, and we're ready to push back if something like this happens again. President Biden was...
And what he said right there was very key. It's like, look, I'm not trying to help one side or the other. And just for a little bit of context, he has not endorsed either Harris, Biden, or Trump for president. He has endorsed nobody for president at all. So it's not just, oh, he's trying to help the MAGAs. Nah, it's not like that.
Asked about misinformation online in the summer of 2021.
On COVID misinformation, what's your message to platforms like Facebook?
They're killing people. I mean, it really, look, the only pandemic we have is among the unvaccinated. And they're killing people.
I mean, this is why the federal government sucks. I've been saying this for years. I don't care really who's the president. If you have a better president, you have a better chance of being able to make something happen. But the federal government sucks. I mean, look at what they did to Trump. 2 impeachments, all this, the lawfare that's going on. That's the federal government getting in the way. Whether it's a state thing that happens as far as Atlanta or New York, it's the federal government that's behind it all. Like a private company such as Facebook being pressured by the federal government to do certain things that are going to impact us. It's the same thing that's going on with these law enforcement agencies all over the country. And this guy who doesn't even know what his name is half the time, he might be awake 3 hours a day and sleep the rest of the day in the cryo chamber. this guy's going to try to dictate policy for private companies. The government sucks. The federal government is really bad. That's why you got to have better people in there. I mean, can we at least get a guy that has his brain functioning at 100% capacity?
Biden later walked back the comment, insisting he wasn't attacking Facebook. Overnight, the White House responded to Zuckerberg's letter. Our position has been clear and consistent. We believe tech companies and other private actors should take into account the effects their actions have on the American people while making independent choices about the information they present. Zuckerberg going on to express regret for demoting content related to corruption allegations against Hunter Biden ahead of the 2020 election, alleging the FBI warned information circulating online was a Russian disinformation operation.
Now, let's pause right there. This is a really important point to make. Really important point. Now, when the whole thing with the Hunter Biden laptop came out, there were 53 or so intelligence officers who said this is fake, Russian misinformation, all this, that, and the third. That's what they said, right? Now, we all saw Hunter Biden on the actual tape smoking crack. We all saw his physical face, his body, and everything. We saw a little bit too much, actually, from that. How could you look at that and say that it's fake? When you know it's true, when you know he was discharged from the military for the crack habit, when you know that he has spoken about it publicly, when Joe has spoken about it publicly, we know that he smokes crack. It is what it is. Why would you lie and say that it's fake? Come on, man. Like this whole thing was crazy. Again, the federal government getting in the way. You're getting in the way of the small businessman who came forward with the actual laptop. When you give it to the FBI, they suppressed it because they ain't wanted to get out. They're covering it up because it's going to impact the president. I mean, this is like some Banana Republic type stuff going on in America. And until we get this cleaned up, we can't even really criticize anybody else. Oh, you got a dictator in your country, all this, that, and the third. Well, look at what you guys do in your country. When you want to talk about the president's son, people are getting their whole business destroyed because they've spoken out against the regime.
It's since been made clear that the reporting was not Russian disinformation, and in retrospect, we shouldn't have demoted the story. Zuckerberg went on to say the company has changed its policies and processes to make sure it doesn't happen again.
You know what I'm seeing? I'm going to tell you something that's going on right now. A lot of people on the left, they challenge the corporations. You guys are evil. You don't pay any taxes, all kind of just things, right? What I'm seeing more and more is the corporations fighting back against the overreach of the federal government. Give you an example. Beyond what Zucker's doing right here. And be clear, Zuckerberg, this is probably one of the most powerful people in this world, and most certainly one of the most powerful in this country when you're talking about corporate or anything else. Okay, he can like change elections. He could change lives of millions of people by the things that he does on this platform. A very impactful person. He's saying, look, the government overreach. They're telling us the wrong thing. We shouldn't have done it. It was a mistake. He's criticizing the government openly. This is a really, really big deal, a 100% big deal. But to get back to the corporations, they are the ones fighting back. In this case, and also in the case of Tim Cook, the executive over at Apple, after Steve Jobs died, the government wanted a backdoor into encryption on the iPhone because it said, okay, you might have criminals and they may have data on their phones, needs to get recovered by us. So give us a backdoor to the encryption. And they were like, no, we're not going to do that because that's going to violate the trust of our customers. The whole point of encryption is for privacy. So that is ended up against the government because the government wanted more of an ability to spy on you. You see what I'm saying? It's the corporations many times that stand up for our rights more than the government does. This is why the federal government sucks.
Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan celebrating the letter, calling it a big win for free speech. Zuckerberg's letter first appeared in the Wall Street Journal, and there really is a tension going on here between the government and big tech over how content on social media should be policed and whether conservative voices often get silenced.
Absolutely.
Now, let me tell you something else. Let's talk about TikTok, because that's pretty much it. I was going to show the letter and stuff like this, but that's pretty much they addressed the letter and everything in this piece. But I'll place his whole letter and everything in the box so you can see and read more for yourself. Now, to stay on big tech and big corporations and the government, this is the whole TikTok challenge. You see, the government has some pull on American companies. There's laws here that already exist, and then they try to lean on them when there's a gray area that's not covered by a law. Okay, they have them in court, going to Congress, things of this nature. You're going to have the actual guy, Zuckerberg, in there. But with TikTok, they're giving you a subsidiary. They're not really giving you the big dog. And it's a Chinese company, so they're not necessarily governed by the same laws that Americans are governed by, or American companies. So that's why they're trying to ban it, because they can't control it. That's ultimately the problem. I'm not saying TikTok is this perfect thing, but it's huge. Everybody's on it and they can't control it. So they see it as a ticking time bomb. All it takes is one time for them to put out some Chinese propaganda onto Americans, and it could be happening right now. I don't know, but they're afraid of that. That's the whole issue here. They see how important social media is. They see how important new technology is, and they want to be the ones to dominate it. The problem is, as I close, that the government are so old and incompetent, they can't really control anything. They have no idea. You got the president talking about a phonograph. What is that, sir? Hey, this is the year 2024. A phonograph? Who has that anymore? How can that guy be in charge of other guys that are going to control this highly advanced thing that they don't even understand at all? They see it's just you doing dances and stuff like this, but that can make somebody a multimillionaire overnight in this country and beyond. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on this whole situation with Mark Zuckerberg admitting that the federal government, the Biden-Harris administration, pressured Facebook to censor COVID-19 posts, the Hunter Biden laptop story, and then they knew about it? Oh, there's going to be a Russian disinformation campaign. They had the story already played out because the feds were aware that this the laptop was floating around. They were aware that it was floating around, and it had leaked because they had it first, and then they didn't do anything with it. They sat on it, and the guy, the repair shop guy, was like, "Nah, like let's get it out." Here comes Giuliani. Here comes the leak, and then it becomes an issue. Okay, let's go to the room and figure out what we're going to do to get out in front of this. All right, we're going to warn the companies. Hey, man, we got some Russian misinformation out there, Russian trolls out there. They're going to send you something. Be aware of it and don't let it get too far. All right. But really, that was just a whole cover up for the laptop situation. This whole thing is nuts, but whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. Big tech, like I've been saying for a while, you can blame some of the big tech companies for censorship and shadow banning and whatnot, but ultimately look at the government, because I think they are responsible for a lot more of this stuff than we imagine. It's not just the big tech companies themselves. Whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that is all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.